Bonjour, je suis not manly, ici le voyage d'espace, je ne sais quoi, and hopefully back to more normalcy here with Aden, the second moon of Lindor. About 600 kilometers across, 2.5 microkerbins in mass, and a surface gravity that's kind of a split between the moon and Minmus. One day is just under 80 hours, it is tidally locked with Lindor, and it has a pretty light orbital inclination, pretty easily approachable, but it does have a pretty small sphere of influence, so watch your targeting. Delta V to get out here from low Krel orbit is about 400 meters per second, capturing is under 270, landing and ascending is about 500 meters per second, not too bad at all. When you get out here, it's going to look like Moho Light. There are beautiful views of Lindor from the surface, and it looks like there's some weathering on there as well. I'm not sure how that happens without any atmosphere. But when you get out here, it's a pretty boring moon, only 5 biomes, but there's some pretty dangerous terrain up at the poles. And let's face it, you're out here for the views of Lindor more than any other reason. It looks like they were trying to emulate the Saturnian moon of Enceladus with this one, with the coloration. When we last left our heroes, Chris, Roberta Lynn, and Jenny Ann McKerman, they were getting ready for their ejection from Krel out to Aden. There we go, oh wait a minute, yeah, actually just under 400 meters per second. Not too bad at all. Get some gorgeous zoom out shots of Krel here with Lindor in the distance. Look at that. You know, if Kerbal Space Program 2.0 looks anything like this, I'll be happy. While we were doing that, we're trying to save old Boom Boom here from a fate being stranded above Lindor's orbit here, because if we extend that Medusa nuclear pulse engine sail, we're going to lose signal. So I decided to park this thing right near one of the outer relays, and doing that will at least give us enough signal to do an ejection back to Kerbal. We're just going to leave it up here, have a matching orbital period of 120 days. I think we were off by like a minute or something like that. Yeah, there we go. So we'll be able to bring that back in when the time comes. The ejection out to Kerbin will be about half a year yet. While that was going on, our folks were heading out to Aden. You can just see it in the distance there. We're doing our orbit closure here. Not too bad at all. There we go. Perhaps not as efficient as the numbers I came up with, but that's okay. We got that Medusa nuclear pulse after all. So that's Aden, definitely looking like some of the color photos of Enceladus out there. So yeah, we're sending out Roberta Lynn, we're getting some high space science, and we get some low space science later. All the usual stuff we do in orbit. And here's our approach to Aden. Pretty rough terrain from up here, but actually there's lots of flat spots to land safely. Pretty easy insertion as well. Now when I get out here, I decide to try to fix our orbital plane. And there we go. I use Kerbal Engineer to help me find out where the actual ascending node is. So my orbit inclination is less than 1 degree by the time I'm done with it. Okay, and there we go. Just a little bit of adjustment. Come on. There we go. We're less than 0.1 degrees. We'll definitely take that. Come on. Of all the times to be timid with the throttle there, Chris, you pick now. Come on, get that craft sorted out. There we go. I'm messing around again with the darkness here to see just how dark it actually is, but I decided to take a quick look at KerbNet, and my goodness, what are the chances of ending up right on top of an anomaly on the surface of Aden? And there we go. Let's get that mapped out so we can find it later. And right on the equator of all places as well. Now again, these things use Moho as a template. Here we got a gorgeous Lindor sunrise here. Yellow fading to white. It is very dark out here. Again, it's just like a giant flashlight in the sky. And there we go. Just fixing our periapsis there to get ready for our final low Aden orbit insertion. And there we go. Pretty odd finding an anomaly right on the equator. What are the chances of that? Again, the majority of the non-stock worlds appear to use Moho as a template. I think we got the Moho anomalies fixed, but there's still going to be a random monolith on the surface of each of these worlds. And we're just waiting until it shows up on the day-night terminator here before we attempt our landing approach. Right about here seems to work out. There is the Talos lander rover, which we've used now for a second time, and we're going to use for a third time when we get to Talos. Look at that. I'm going to try to give ourselves plenty of lead time so that we land on top of that marker. There wasn't a whole lot to show off on Aden, so rather than that, I decided to show these descents and liftoffs so you know that this place is reasonably safe. And there we go. We'll also get a chance to hopefully approach that anomaly directly without having to do any driving. Oh yeah, look at that. Should be nice and safe like. Again, rather than re-accelerate, I burn a radial out if I want to adjust my landing position. That way we don't have extra horizontal speed to have to remove. I do spot an object just out in the distance there. There it is. So we try to get the craft to land out there. Now, I wasn't sure what to do, so I figured I got my speed as close to 0 as I figured was reasonably safe, then I would try to approach over there. But I had trouble with the orientation of this craft at first. And there we go. I'm like, come on, you do know how to fly this thing there, don't you? I'm going the wrong way. There we go. Hopefully that was the right way. There goes the target marker, right where it's supposed to go. So I picked that plateau just beside the anomaly. It does look like one of the monoliths from this distance, and yeah, that is definitely a random monolith. Well, we're not getting any science node unlocked for this though. I'm guessing that's because the non-stock worlds don't support that particular feature of the tech tree. Hey, that's okay, it means we'll be able to find the last one up on Elu. But here we are with the Talos rover touching down on Aden. Come on, Roberta, you got this. And a much better touchdown than our first attempt back at Krel. Good job there, Roberta. We send out Jenny Ann first to go and inspect the monolith and plant a flag on it. And at first it did seem like our terrain problems at Krel were a thing of the past. At least once I got this flag on top of here, I figured, well, hopefully the worst is past us. And there we go. Jenny Ann touching down on top of the random monolith. There we go. There we go. Planting the flag. Hopefully the flag actually stays there, and it does. There we go. Congratulations, Jenny Ann, for not teleporting this flag where it doesn't belong. After that, we get her back aboard and we send out Roberta to go hunting for some rocks. We do actually find something out here. It looks like the Tylo light stone that we found over at Tylo, and as we get closer to there, it actually is. I'm guessing that was the closest match in color they found here for Aden. But hey, that's okay as long as we can pick it up and take it home. Oh, come on. There we go. Pick up Tylo light stone. Good job there, Roberta. Now let's go do some exploring. Again, the science flavor texts were used in just generic phrasing, so we just skip all of that and we'll just show you some of Aden's gorgeous terrain. Some of these craters are pretty worn down for some reason. My understanding is Enceladus is actually geologically active, which may have an explanation for some of this. Now, here we are up at the North Pole, and yep, we have a North Pole just like above Bop. And I had nothing but trouble with this rover here. It seemed like the further north we went, the more troubles we had with pieces getting all skew-baldy and so forth, and eventually I just gave up on it, and I had to use cheats to lift it off the ground, fix the alignment of everything, and then touch it back down, but nothing to actually use up, or at least affect the outcome of a normal playback. Here we are up in one of the mountain ranges with Lindor out there in the distance. There's a beautiful shot, and there are lots of these along Aden's equator as long as you're facing Lindor. Now, there wasn't much more else to show, so we went back down to the equator and we're going to go rendezvous with the Lindor main mission craft. Much the same takeoff profile, we ascend and then we change the orientation of those twitch engines, and then we accelerate forward, and then we turn on that spark engine in the back for an extra boost of thrust. And this is pretty much how we're going to be able to leave Talos when the time comes as well. There we go, a pretty easy ascent there, not too bad. I ended up with many of the same problems on the surface of Aden up north as I did on Krel, but I edited all that out. I was able to work around it at least. So there we go. Sometimes the rover would end up beneath the surface and then fall to its doom. Other times pieces would get stuck in the terrain. Other times terrain pieces would interfere with part pieces, and oh boy, enough of that. No point in showing you all that. Again, a fresh save would not have these problems. Okay, there we go, all lined up here. We'll get as close to the main mission craft as we can, and then redock, and get these ladies back aboard the main craft. There it is. Docking was pretty easy, but to try to help with the center of mass problem, I tried to line it up upside down with one of the other rovers, and well, I think we got the alignment a little better this time. So we have that. Okay, pretty easy docking at this point. And there we go. Nice and docked, nice and safe. Roberta takes back all the loads of science again. We got 2 copies of everything it needed 2 copies of. And then she brings it back up to the main mission craft and loads it up into that RGS probe core. Things we've seen before, not a problem. Back aboard the Hab and nice and safe. And then Jenny Ann comes out, struts up the Talos rover back to the main mission craft. There we go. This will hold things together when that Medusa nuclear pulse fires its big explosive payloads. And that's pretty much how it's going to go for these places. We'll finally start shedding mass above Huygens coming up next. There we go. So, the big moment will be the next episode when we head to Huygens and deal with that thick atmosphere. But until then, I'm not manly. Fly safe.